Hello, everyone, and welcome. I am the host and the CEO of the part. I just went tongue tied on my own self, and the host of the Courage to Live Your Dreams show. When we are a part of the Raven International Media Network, you can find out more about it. Just go to the website, Raven International Media Empire Network, and you can find out all about who we are. This particular show is about helping you. We are here to support you on your destination to your dream. And we know how lonely it can be when you undertake a new challenge and all the negative self-talk that begins. The guests we invite on are people who have experienced the same struggles that you are, and they will share with you some of the things that they may have gone through and how they handle that. And hopefully provide you with some tips that will help support you and keep you motivated. I am extremely pleased to have a very special guest with us today. I'm so excited about her, but I'm going to let her tell all of you a little about herself. She is the CEO and founder of the Empowered Woman's Guide to Healing Trauma. Please help me welcome a very special lady, Tamara Jeffries. All right, Tamara, take it
Thank
away,
you.
girl. I want to hear all
Thank you.
about you and what you do.
Thank you, Luana. I'm so happy to be here. That was so sweet. Yes, my name is Tamara Jeffries of Grow and Thrive Wellness, and I am a holistic trauma counselor and transformational coach. My focus is on helping spiritual women heal trauma. And I've been in this arena for a while now, since 2005. I started out as a peer counselor at a rape crisis center in San Francisco called San Francisco Women Against Rape. And I quickly discovered that as hard as the work sounds, I love it. As soon as I got to sit down with a woman and start helping her, I just knew exactly where I needed to be and what I needed to be doing. So I went from being a peer counselor to being a support group facilitator to being a trainer of other counselors that joined the organization. But at some point I realized that I needed more training because the problems that the women were bringing were just more complicated than I could handle and help them with sufficiently. So I enrolled in a master's program in counseling psychology and turned that into a degree in somatic psychology. And I don't know if you know of or heard of somatic psychology, but it's the study of the body-mind connection and how our bodies metabolize, cope with, deal with like all that we go through. You know, everything that we go through in life gets processed through the body. And if we don't let it process fully, it can get stuck in the body. And that's the biggest problem with trauma, is that it gets stuck in the body. And those who are carrying trauma find it hard to move on in their lives in an empowered way, in a fully embodied way, because there's still parts of them that are still stuck in this trauma. So after I got my degree, I just, set my sights on becoming a, what I say, a one-stop shop for a woman to come to if she were trying to heal from trauma. So I got numerous certifications in working with trauma. I became also a holistic body worker and a yoga teacher, because I really wanted to approach trauma as holistically and comprehensively as I could. And so I got all these certifications, and then I started my practice. So I've been working with women since then, either one-on-one or in women's circles. I lead women's empowerment workshops, or right now I'm running a women's support group called Sister Circles. And, it's just, this has really just been my path, my purpose, is helping women to find the power within themselves, the wisdom within themselves, to help heal themselves and become fully themselves again. Because I feel like for so many trauma survivors, myself included, you feel like there's a part of you that just gets taken away with the trauma. And so we want to bring all of that back. And so that's really been part of my path. In your intro, you talked about, we're having to deal with all this negative self-talk, and like that's a huge thing for trauma survivors, is dealing with negative self-talk. So that's a big part of what I do with my clients too, is just help them learn how to love themselves, help them to learn how to reparent themselves, because a lot of that negative self-talk got embedded in us when we were very small, when we didn't have the tools to speak up for ourselves and perhaps dissuade those more powerful voices in our house, in our home, from sinking in, like we took all of that in as if it was our own, and it wasn't, but we carry it forward, and that becomes the negative self-talk that we hear. So a lot of the work that I do with my clients is on self-love, self-acceptance, self-forgiveness, and turning that negative self-talk into more empowered and loving beliefs in yourself. And yeah, what else can I tell you? As you mentioned, the Empowered Woman's Guide to Healing Trauma is a course that I've created. It's a virtual course, so women can get it off of my website. It's 12 units. They get 12 videos, they get 12 workbooks, and they can go through it at their own pace. And it's just another way for women to have tools at their disposal to be used at their own time. And I'm always, a resource if anyone needs me. But that's basically my story, what I've been up to.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us. That's some of what I do through my journaling course, which
Right.
I've gotten involved in, and I just love what
Yes.
I have learned about this so much.
Mhm.
And as I was listening to you, I thought, this is another tool that can help what you're doing, because so many times, as you said, we carry that stuff in and we don't let it go.
Yeah.
And this is one way we can let it go, is through journaling. So I
Yeah.
wanted, you talked about how we get these things as we're kids.
Uh-huh.
And it's amazing to me that as children, even as adults, we accept all the negative automatically without any question.
Right.
We just accept it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's so easy.
It's so easy. I know. What's always been so amazing to me is how much easier it is to accept the negative than the positive. It's just, I don't know what that's about, but it's just so much easier to think bad about ourselves than to think good thoughts about ourselves. There just seems to be something in us that doesn't want to believe that we're good, that we're worthy, that we're lovable. It's just, I don't understand it.
I don't either. And I honestly, I've been questioning it for quite a bit. Because
Yeah.
it's funny, I can think back on some of the things I've done, and I think, wow, I was good at that.
Mm-hmm.
So why am I thinking negative when I got all these things that I've accomplished?
Right.
Why do I dwell toward the negative about what I can't do or what I might not do well, instead of thinking about the things that I did tackle and how they came out?
I know. Isn't that something? I feel like it has something to do with our ego and our perception of ourselves, like our self-identity. Somehow the ego just likes to latch on to that negative thing. It's like that negative seed is so much more powerful for the ego to latch onto than the positive. And it's like, like you and so many people, like we all have these wonderful talents. And I'm sure at some point in someone's life, someone said, you did that wonderfully well. And you just brush it off. And the first time someone says, oh, look at what you did, then we're crushed. And we carry that forever. And we think I just ruined everything. And it's just like, no, you've done all of these other things so wonderfully. And you just messed up once. And we're human, so we mess up. But we just like to carry that seed around.
Yes, we do. And the other thing we have a bad habit of doing is comparing ourselves to others.
Yes.
And,
oh my gosh.
I read a quote somewhere that God made each of us perfect in our own way.
Mm-hmm.
So why do we want to be a carbon copy of somebody else?
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
you may have said it, and I apologize if you did and I missed it, but what really got you into what you're doing?
Oh, I didn't. I'm sorry. I didn't mention that. Um, so I did mention I am a trauma survivor myself, and at some point I had a birthday party. I threw myself a birthday party, and I was in my late 20s, and I had 9 of my girlfriends come for this dinner party. So there were 10 women present, and I realized that of those 10 women present, 4 of us were survivors of either sexual assault or childhood sexual abuse. So that's 40%. And at that time, that was the national average for women who were survivors. And that really just struck me. It saddened me, but it also galvanized me because I couldn't just sit with that. I'm like, this is unjust. Like, I have to do something about this. And I'm just one woman, so I can't go out there and bring this terrible thing to an end, but I can go out there and try to help women heal. And so that was what put me on this trajectory.
And how long have you been doing this now?
Since 2005, I've been.
That's pretty long. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you seem so young. I thought you probably had just gotten into something. I look at you and look like you should still be a teenager, or at least a college.
You're sweet. You're sweet. No, I'm in my mid-40s. So I've been
Well,
around.
what you're doing is great because it is needed in so many ways. I have not had a perfect life, and I've had my ups and downs and things, the challenges that I've had to go through. Some were my own doing. But when I hear about situations where things like you're talking about, sexual abuse and some of these other things, and I think to myself, I don't have anything to complain about because how would I handle what some of you have gone through? And what got you through your trauma that made you realize that you did it and you could help someone else do it?
Thank you for that question. I almost feel like it happened hand in hand. Like, as I was healing myself, I was already thinking about helping women heal. It's like every tool I learned, I just had this voice in my head that was like, you have to take this to the women. I have in my head this body of women that I'm on this planet to help. So whenever I learn anything, it's like, you have to take this to the women. And so, but there were times in my own healing where I was like, no, right now you need to sit still and take this in for yourself. You need to let this process for yourself first and give yourself some time before you take this to the women. But I feel like these things have always been in lockstep with each other. Like, I'm here to heal myself and I'm here to help other women heal as well. And I've heard women say what you have said, like, I have nothing to complain about, but I don't believe that, because I think like you said, we all have our challenges, right? Like, it's all relative. So this was my particular challenge. You had your particular challenges. Like, we all have our challenges. So I don't like to think that anybody's challenge is worse or harder to bear than anyone's, because it's all relative. But I'm definitely
for someone so young. I really appreciate you saying that, because one of the things I've come to realize is that while I may not have had the types of challenges that you have, I've had other challenges that there are other women who may be going through it as well. For example, just building your confidence, is a challenge.
Yes.
That thing called confidence can stop you from doing almost anything. It's almost as bad as fear.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and that's another area that we work in with trauma survivors, especially those who were children, like in my case, because that's your confidence is completely destroyed, from right out the gate if you were very small. And so building that belief in yourself, especially in our society, which favors, youth and superficiality and puts a lot of value on, especially women, on a woman's appearance. Like a woman will build her self-confidence around her appearance rather than her own innate worth and her competence and her skills and abilities, you know? And it's like, we need to like do away with that kind of thinking. Like a woman is valuable because she's just alive, number one, but all the gifts that she brings to this earth, number two. It doesn't matter what, you know, what package God has put you in. It's just the gifts that we've been brought here to give. That's where I believe our confidence should come from.
And the funny thing is that each and every one of us is already a winner.
Yes.
You know, we just don't recognize it. Yes. I was speaking to someone, I forget who it was, but they said something that was so profound to me. It's because the moment we were conceived, we race to be the one.
I've heard that too.
We were a winner. We got there.
That was a good one. I heard that one too. That's such a good one.
So we're already winners. We just need to recognize that. And as you say, we each come here with a special gift. We're all in different packages. And that's what makes us so unique and special.
Exactly.
I've had people who have asked me, how do I feel about the different cultures and races and things? And my thing is that I truly believe in my heart is that we're all flowers. And each flower is beautiful in its own right. But when you put us together, my goodness, how much more beautiful is that bouquet of flowers, you know? And that's how I like to think of us as a people. We're each special in our own way. We're all beautiful in our own way. But when we come together, we're that much more beautiful. So, yeah. Well, I just am amazed that you're able to accomplish so much and you're still so young and whatnot. I should ask you about, do you have a family, a husband, children? Not trying to be personal, but but
yeah, no, I am single and child free. Yes.
Well, yes. I'm not gonna say good for you, but because you're able to help so many other young people who are out there who are in need, and that's tremendous. Do you have, for example, a track record that you can show? I've been able to do this and this with X number of people, and I see the difference that I'm making.
Well, definitely you could look at my testimonials and see what my clients have had to say. You know, I feel like when it comes to sitting one-on-one with women, I think one of my biggest strengths is helping women to see their power, helping them to see their uniqueness, helping them to feel, for lack of a better word, their magic, you know, as a woman. And this is something that I've had my clients say to me over and again, is that I've helped them see themselves when before that they just couldn't, like they didn't have that mirror. And I feel like that's probably the thing I'm most proud of in my work, is helping a woman see herself and to really own her magic. I can't think of another word. It's just like her power, just help her own that.
Well, without giving away all your secrets, can you share a little bit as to how you approach these women? And I'm assuming that you only work with women at this point.
I do.
Yeah. So how do you approach them? Is there some way that you can get them where they actually enjoy? Well, that's not a good word, enjoy, because they're in a hurting place when they come to you, but you're able to pull this out of them and get them to talking. How do you go about doing that? Because people automatically distrust and they're afraid to share really deep personal things.
Yeah. You know, I think that's actually part of one of the gifts that God gave me is that I am one of those people that people just naturally open up to. Like I don't have to do anything. I'm one of those people that I'll be in an airport and someone will come sit next to me and tell me their whole life story.
Mhm.
And I don't have to say anything. So how that helps me in my counseling work is that women just feel safe. And I tell them straight from the beginning, like my job here is to build rapport with you to make you feel safe. Because if you don't feel safe, healing can't happen. And so I like to spend as much time, I spend more time listening, than talking. And I do my best to, for instance, like what I did a moment ago and just saying that all of our struggles are relative. So I don't want you thinking that your struggle is any less. I try to normalize women's fears and their anxieties so that they're not sitting there thinking like I'm the only person who goes through this or I'm so bad because I've experienced this or what have you. After working with so many survivors is we have these common themes in our lives. And so I like to bring that commonality to the women so they understand like you're kind of part of this fabric now and this experience, this collective experience. And that helps bring comfort. And that comfort helps a woman open up even more.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
It does. And I was just curious, do you also sometimes include like games that will kind of help loosen people up a little? Sometimes
I
a
don't.
game will get you, well, it just kind of loosens you up because
Yeah.
you stop thinking about the negative, you start thinking about finding that answer to whatever the game is. I was just curious.
That's interesting. No, I mean, in working in groups, we'll do icebreakers. We might do a little like fun question answer type of thing, but in like games per se, I don't use those. In my practice, I use meditation, I use breath work, I use a lot of visualization, things of that nature.
Okay. Well, let's switch a little bit and find out when you first got into this, was this a difficult field to get into? And what made you keep going if you ran into obstacles? How did you handle that?
Okay. No, it wasn't. I really believe like it wasn't difficult for me to get into. I feel like once you're on your path, God just opens doors for you, and like crazy things can happen. Like when I started my master's program, it was the most insane story. And I don't even still believe it to this day. I hadn't even filled out my application, but I was talking on the phone with the head of the department. And I said, I really want to do this program. And I'm talking to him, and he finally said, just come down, take the class. He's like, we'll work the whole money thing out later. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, no, nobody does. This is the head of a department in a college. He's like, don't worry about it. He's like, just come down. And so I went to school. I started the program and I was like, this doesn't happen. Like that was God. Like this doesn't happen. and, and I got enrolled and everything. And it's a wonderful program. But I feel like once I started on this journey, things just came into alignment and that's one other reason why I feel that this is exactly where God wants me to be. Cause it's just like, things have just always come into alignment. And I shouldn't say always, but for the most part, things have come into alignment. Sometimes so quick that it just spin my head, just turn my head.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's just been a progression of this purpose. I just keep moving forward in this purpose. And there are definitely times that I have felt stalled, where it's like it felt like it wasn't coming together. Like for a long time, I wanted to open a center of my own. And every time I attempted to open a center, it didn't work. And then I moved to a different area. And within a month or so, I had my center. So it was just like, I was just in the wrong place.
In the wrong place. Isn't it amazing how the Lord works in our
Yes.
lives? And
Yes.
when it's the thing He wants you to do, you're right. It just seems like the doors just open and
Just open up.
your problems are minimized. Not saying that things are perfect and that you
Right.
don't
No.
have some obstacles, but
Right.
they seem to be minimized, and you don't give up.
And you
You
don't give
don't
up.
let it stop you.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's
Keep
great.
going. Keep going.
Well, listen, we're getting close to the end here, so, and I know there's somebody out there who wants to know how they can contact you or talk to
Oh,
you
sure.
about how you can help them. So why don't you share with us a way that people can reach out to you
Yeah,
if they
certainly.
want more information or if they even want to get into your program?
Certainly. Yes. The best way is through my website. It's growandthrivewellness.com. And you can email me at tamara@tamarajeffries.com. Those are the two best ways to get in touch. Everything, all my programs and my one-to-one counseling, all of that is on my website, growandthrivewellness.com.
Great. We will also include that as well, so that in case they missed it, they'll still be able to get that information. Well,
Thank you.
Tamara, it has been a pleasure having you on the show with me
Thank
today.
you.
And
Thank you.
thank you
It's been
so much
great.
for sharing this wonderful information. Hopefully, there's someone out there listening who really needs you and they'll reach out to you. And
I hope
that's what
so.
we're all about, is trying to help individuals to
Yes.
get the help that they need. And thank
Excellent.
you so
Thank you
much
so
for
much.
what you're doing. Very much
Oh,
appreciated.
it's my pleasure and my gift, and I'm happy to do it. So thank you. Thank
Well,
you.
thank all of you for listening today. And I hope that you heard something that's going to be a great benefit for you. What Tamara is doing is needed so much in our society today. And especially if we've gone through this COVID, we found that so many people are finding that difficult to handle, the
Mhm.
in-house being feeling like they are locked away. And this is something else I'm sure that she can help you with as well. So please reach out to her, let her help you in any way that she can. And I want to thank you for being a part of our show. And please come back again next week. This is the Courage to Live Your Dreams show. And as before, we are a part of Raven International Media Empire Network. And you can find our show on Roku, Amazon Fire, and over at iHeart, Spotify, and a few other places. So no excuses for missing us. And as always, please stay safe and keep the faith.